What's up, everybody? Today is day 15 of reading the verse of the day and the scripture behind it. So let's get into it. Verse of the day is Matthew 13, verse 44. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. So this explains a lot. So pretty much it talks about that the kingdom of heaven is more valuable than anything else we can have, and a person must be willing to give up everything to obtain it. The man who discovered the treasure hidden in the field stumbled upon it by accident, but knew its value when he found it. Although the transaction cost the man everything, he paid nothing for the priceless treasure itself. It came free with the field. Nothing is more precious than the kingdom of heaven, yet God gives it to us as a gift. In this chapter, they refer to the kingdom of heaven in many things. The one we just read was about a merchant man. The next one is onto a net that was cast into sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the goods into vessels, but cast the bad away. So they refer to this as a fishing net. And it explains that the parable of a fishing net has the same meaning as the parable of the wheat and tares. We are to obey God and tell others about His grace and goodness, but we cannot dictate who is part of the kingdom of heaven and who is not. This sorting will be done at the last judgment by those who are infinitely more qualified than we are. And the continuation of that, of the verses in here. So shall it be at the end of the world, the angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gashing of the teeth. Jesus saith unto them, Have ye understand all these things? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. So this kind of explains anyone who understands God's real purpose in the law as revealed in the Old Testament has a real treasure. The Old Testament points the way to Jesus, the Messiah. Jesus always upheld its authority and relevance, but those who understand Jesus' teaching about the kingdom of heaven receives a double benefit. This is a new treasure that Jesus was revealing. Both the old and new teaching gave practical guidelines for faith and for living in the world. The scribes, however, were trapped in the old and blind to the new. They were looking for a future kingdom preceded by judgment. Jesus, however, taught that the kingdom was now and the judgment was in the future. The religious leaders were looking for a physical and temporal kingdom, but they were blind to the spiritual significance of the kingdom that Jesus brought. And then another explanation to what I was just reading about the angels coming forth and severing the wicked explains that at the end of the world, angels will separate the evil from the righteous. Today, churches contain true and false believers, but we should be cautious in our judgments because only Jesus is qualified to make the final separation. If you start judging, you may damage some of the good plans. It's more important to judge your own response to God than to analyze other people's responses. That's kind of saying there could be people that are, false believers, and you may think you can, judge them, but you don't know that in God's plan for them, they could eventually become true believers. That's why it says you could damage good plants, because in their grand scheme, the plan that God made for them, they could eventually turn into true believers. So that was the verse of the day and the scripture. Matthew, it's a really, really good book to read. So that was day 15. I will catch y'all tomorrow for day 16. God bless, my friends.